What's a worse scam? Making a COVID pesticide and making people feel secure, like what Paul Andrecola did, or faking cancer with your significant other, like Rebecca Gray? Let's get right into it. Number 3, fake cancer. It started as a normal love story. Boy meets girl, boy falls in love with girl, boy notices the girl's mom calls all the time, girl's mom turns out to be her second boyfriend. In the beginning, Sean Fry thought nothing of all the phone calls his then girlfriend Rebecca Gray got from her mother. But as their relationship grew, Rebecca Gray's lies grew too. Ultimately, her web of deceit was too complicated for her to keep secret. The couple met on Tinder, and after a few dates, Rebecca Gray revealed that she had terminal cancer. Even though this was devastating news for Sean, he really liked Rebecca and they continued to date. As their relationship blossomed, Fry began supporting Gray through her cancer treatments, or so he thought. Gray made up elaborate stories about her symptoms, her organs failing, and even a blood transfusion. As Fry notes, he never thought twice as to whether Gray had cancer or not. She told him she had cancer, so why wouldn't he believe her? He could never imagine anybody would lie to him about something so grave. It turns out, Rebecca Gray didn't have cancer. To add insult to injury, when Fry thought Gray was in the hospital, she was actually dating 2 other men. This was one busy single mom. By December of 2016, Sean Fry was in love with Rebecca Gray. The couple traveled to meet Sean's parents for the holidays when Gray took her fraud to the next level and announced she was pregnant with Fry's child. For about a month, the happy couple planned for their baby's arrival. By this point, Sean Fry was fully committed. He was in love, he was about to be a father, and he was funding Gray's cancer treatments. Except Gray didn't have cancer, and she was not pregnant. In late January, after a month of baby planning, Gray told Fry she had lost the child. Sean was devastated, and so were his parents. The emotional manipulation was spiraling out of control, and soon, Gray's lies would spiral too. It turns out lying about cancer, a pregnancy, and a miscarriage weren't enough. Gray decided to layer her lies with multiple boyfriends. Unfortunately for Gray, her heartless ambition would be her downfall. To conceal her boyfriends from one another, Gray used fake names in her phone. Notably, one of Gray's unidentified victims was labeled Mum's Phone. He uncovered this secret while helping Gray find her phone one evening. When he saw that he was saved in Gray's phone as her mother, he suspected the worst and checked her messages. Her secret was out. He had uncovered Gray's tangled web of lies. This boyfriend found Sean Fry on Facebook, and they put everything together. Looking back, Fry remembers Gray's mom calling a lot. He now knows it was actually one of her many boyfriends. Love can be so blinding. Fry thought it was impossible for Gray to have any time for another man with all her hospital visits, and that's when the light bulb went off. Rebecca Gray wasn't sick. She didn't have cancer. She wasn't spending lots of time at the hospital. She was with her other lovers. It turns out, when Gray announced her fake miscarriage, she was actually away on a camping trip with another man. Man, that's so cruel. The 2 boyfriends got in touch with Gray's father, who confirmed she'd been lying about her terminal cancer for many years to multiple family members. It seems as though she had been crafting the perfect lie and using it on as many people as she could. Can it get any crazier? Yes, it can! After Sean and the unidentified boyfriend broke up with Rebecca Gray, she upped the ante. Neither Sean nor Gray's other boyfriend tried to get their money back, but Gray was unable to move on from her lies. She called the police and told them that Sean Fry was stalking her. The cops showed up at Sean's home, and when the police arrived, Sean revealed the entire fraud. He shared all of his messages as evidence, and the police immediately knew who was at fault. They eventually charged Rebecca Gray with fraud. Gray finally admitted to her web of lies in court and pleaded guilty to 3 fraud charges, including defrauding her boyfriends out of $11,000. Her relationship with Sean Fry lasted 18 months. 18 months of lies and scamming. Sean had to take an $8,000 loan out from his parents after giving thousands to Gray. Of course, the emotional toll is impossible to quantify. Rebecca Gray will be sentenced later this year. Number 2. Embezzling Life. Elizabeth Mulder is a scammer from Orange County, California. She defrauded multiple businesswomen out of more than $1.5 million and spent their money on extravagant luxuries like horse rentals, valuable jewelry, plastic surgery, expensive vacations, and a rental home in Laguna Beach. Mulder used her lies to live an indulgent life in Southern California, and she did it by preying on women who owned their own businesses. Elizabeth Mulder set up a business called Mulder Financial Services. While posing as an accountant who graduated from Pepperdine University, it appears Mulder had only taken a few courses at a community college and was not a CPA. Mulder targeted women with small businesses and young children just like herself. She networked, invited entrepreneurial women to parties, and snuck her way into the lives of these business women. After connecting with her prey, Mulder ingratiated herself as a friend, a mother, and a business partner who would handle her victims' accounting and tax services. In some cases, Mulder convinced her clients to write checks to various entities that would settle debts and cover tax expenses. In reality, Mulder was pocketing these funds and using her victims' money on luxury goods. Mulder spread her fraud all across the OC, from San Juan Capistrano to Laguna Beach, San Clemente, Costa Mesa, Newport Beach, and Irvine. There's a lot of money that lines the streets of these SoCal beach towns, and Elizabeth Mulder knew exactly where to strike. Mulder convinced her clients to make their income tax checks payable to a company called IRS Tax Services. Of course, none of those payments made their way to the U.S. government. Instead, they went to fund the lifestyle of a conniving fraudster, out to target ladies trying to build their businesses. As a result of this fraud, many of the victims will be struggling for years to come. Joanne Kurtz Allers is one of Mulder's victims. Mulder offered to help Kurtz Allers take out an insurance policy for her luxury travel agency, but sent the money for the policy directly to one of her fake businesses. Joanne Kurtz Allers wrote 44 checks to Mulder between 2011 and 2016. Another victim, Lauren Scaccia, co-owner of the Tony and Guy hair salon in Newport Beach, lost $291,000 to Mulder. Scaccia attended Dana Hills High School with Mulder and ran into her at a wedding in Italy. After claiming to be a CPA, Mulder began stealing from Scaccia and ultimately forged 77 checks to defraud her old classmate. Scaccia is still trying to climb out of debt and doesn't see an end in sight. Lauren Almeida is a Pilates instructor who opened a studio in San Clemente, California. After meeting Mulder in an exercise class, Almeida and Mulder became fast friends. They took family vacations together and were extremely close. At one point, Lauren Almeida explains that she looked at Mulder as a sister. But after gaining Lauren Almeida's trust, Mulder ultimately stole $202,000 from Almeida using false identities. In the end, it was Mulder's own husband who outed her to clients and the authorities. After he discovered the fraud, he personally contacted the defrauded clients and the authorities. The FBI, IRS, and Laguna Beach Police Department teamed up to investigate Mulder and eventually bring charges against her. She pled guilty to wire fraud and defrauding the IRS of the misappropriated funds. Mulder was sentenced to 63 months in a federal prison and must pay $1,538,781 back to her victims at the IRS. It seems that she got off pretty easy, knowing that the maximum fine could have placed her behind bars for 23 years. It seems as though Mulder was defrauding her victims as far back as 2009. But only Mulder will really know the extent of her fraud, turned in by her own husband. That has gotta hurt. Maybe as much as the $1.5 million that she stole from innocent moms, friends, and entrepreneurs. Number 1. COVID pesticides. Paul Andrecola is a chemist from New Jersey. He sold $2.7 million in fake COVID-fighting pesticides to government organizations throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. The United States Marshal Service fell for Andrecola's false claims that his product had been approved by the EPA to kill COVID-19. Along with the U.S. Marshals, Andrecola also managed to sell his fake COVID pesticides to Moody Air Force Base, the National Forest Service, a New York-based janitorial supply company, a Virginia Fire Department, a Georgia medical clinic, a Wisconsin school district, a Delaware police department, and the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Paul Andrecola named his product G-Clean and sold his fraudulent materials from March 2020 until May 2021. As of June 2022, Andrecola's case was the largest pandemic fraud conviction for illegal pesticides in the country. As a chemist, Paul Andrecola was in a unique position to take advantage of various organizations and customers who looked to him as an expert in the field of disinfectant manufacturing. At the time, Paul Andrecola was a research director for one manufacturing company and a co-founder of another manufacturing company. Andrecola used another company's information to falsify documents that erroneously claimed this product, G-Clean, disinfected COVID-19. But it didn't. He used those fake documents to mislead his customers and convince them that the Environmental Protection Agency approved his product for public use. The U.S. Attorney's Office obtained emails from Mr. Andrecola lying directly to his customers about the efficacy of his product. Paul Andrecola was in a very unique position to manipulate the fear and concern spreading through the nation during the pandemic. He capitalized on the nation's fear to obtain millions of dollars and potentially endangered his customers who believed they were buying a protection that would disinfect against and kill COVID-19. Paul Andrecola made around 150 sales to customers, one of which was worth over $1 million. Mr. Andrecola pleaded guilty to numerous charges resulting from his fraudulent activity, including the illegal sale of an unregistered pesticide, wire fraud, and false claims against the United States government. These charges carry a range of maximum jail sentences between 1 and 20 years. Andrecola will also pay $2.7 million in restitution for all the funds he swindled. Seems like the crime wasn't worth the time. The U.S. government is still currently pursuing COVID-19 scammers nationwide. COVID scammers were able to profit by stealing pandemic relief funds, selling fake vaccine cards, and manufacturing falsified test results, just to name a few. President Biden and the Justice Department named Kevin Chambers to lead the charge against COVID fraudsters. It is believed that scammers have stolen or attempted to steal up to $8 billion worth of government pandemic resources. That's a lot of COVID cheddar. While Andrecola stands to serve many years in prison for his crimes, this scammer will be sentenced on October 11, 2022. Click to watch one of these next videos. Let us know in the comments section what you think is worse, faking cancer to scam strangers or scamming money from friends and family.